This video will talk about the BP curve and imperfect capital mobility. Imperfect capital mobility. Now, due to international trading patterns, capital is not always perfectly mobile. Basically, every country has its own restriction. So capital moves across countries to take advantage of profit. So there is unequal interest rate, but it does not move freely. Every country has its own laws, it has its own restrictions. So the process of capital movement is imperfect. Now, from the BP equation again, imperfect capital mobility arises in a situation where K, from the earlier videos, check on this website and this YouTube page, earlier videos, where K is, this occurs where K is greater than 0 but less than infinity. So it lies between 0 and infinity, but not equals to 0 nor infinity. So if capital mobility is said to be imperfect, then the BP curve slopes upward. So it's no longer horizontal, but it slopes upward. So what does this mean? This has an effect on the flatness and steepness of the upward sloping BP curve. So the flatness and steepness of the upward sloping curve depends on the value of K. Now, if capital flows are responsive to changes in interest rate and the value of K is closer to infinity, then the BP curve will be flatter. Flatter simply means it goes closer to being horizontal, but it is not horizontal. Now, this simply means even though there are restrictions, but the restrictions are not so many. So, finances or capital can still move from one place to another. Now, if capital flows are less responsive to changes in interest rates and the value of K is closer to 0, now they are less responsive and they are closer to 0, which simply means more capital flows, but there are too many restrictions. So it flows just limitedly or just little amount. So the BP curve will be steeper. So it will be more closer to being vertical than being horizontal. So in the case of flatter, it's more closer to being horizontal than being vertical. In the case of steeper, it is more closer to be vertical than being horizontal. So if there is low capital mobility, the BP curve is steeper. While if there is high capital mobility, the BP curve is flatter. So under imperfect capital mobility, the domestic interest rate is not certainly always equal to the foreign interest rate. So it may be equal to the foreign interest rate, or it may not be equal to the foreign interest rate. So an increase in the domestic interest rate does not necessarily imply that it is greater than or less than the foreign interest rate. So it does not necessarily imply that it is greater, because from the point of equilibrium, it does not even imply that the domestic interest rate is equivalent to the foreign interest rate. So an increase in domestic interest rate does not mean it is now greater than or less than. So it depends. So now all points to the left of the BP curve indicates points of BOP surplus or capital inflows. So instead of perfect capital mobility where we have all points above, now all points to the left reflect point of what? Surplus or capital inflows. Now all points to the right that could be below the BP curve reflect BOP deficit or capital outflows. So as shown in this graph, so these are all imperfect capital mobility reflections in the BP curve. So you have the steeper BP curve, then you have the flatter BP curve. So for both curves, all points to the left of both curves shows you point of what? capital inflows or BP surplus. All points to the right of those curves shows you point of capital outflows or BP deficit. So this is very key, very key. So when there is perfect high capital mobility, rather, you have what? Flatter BP curve. When there is low capital mobility, you have steeper BP curve. Finally, for this section in this video, we have the BP curve and perfect capital immobility. So we want to see how perfect capital immobility. So basically, when you say perfect capital immobility, it is different from capital mobility. So yeah, capital does not flow at all. It does not move. That's what we say perfect. It does not move. There are complete restriction on the flow of capital from one geographical location to another. So in this case, the value of K, the degree of sensitivity between interest rates, foreign interest rates, and domestic interest rates, is 0. So it implies that changes in the world interest rate have no impact on the domestic interest rates. So there is no relationship between interest rates, foreign and domestic interest rates. So under these conditions, the BP curve becomes vertical, straight line. It stands up straight rather than flat. It stands. So it is a reflection of figure 5. So as you can see, all the BP curve is, of course, straight upwards. All internal equilibrium points to the left of the BP, all points to the left of the BP, they denote capital inflows or balance of payments surplus. All points to the right of the BP denote capital outflows or balance of payment deficit. So, as akin to the previous discussions on the BP and capital mobility, in summary, all points below to the right, below and to the right denote capital outflows or BOP deficit. All points above or to the left of the BP curve reflect points of capital inflows or BOP surplus.